Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Graziela. I'm a PhD student from mechanical engineering. This presentation today is it's based on previous experiences I had during my undergrad and initial graduate years in Brazil. I'm Brazilian, and what I've been observing here at Queen's. So, to begin with, I have been noticing since my start last winter semester, 2024, there are a lot of undergrads having their first research experiences during the summer semesters, and this experience varies from group to group, supervisor to supervisor. Usually the scope of their projects is narrow and very technical, as it should be, because it's their first research experience, and that comes with a lot of other different new experiences. How do you communicate in an academic setting? How do you talk research? How do you talk science? And of course, how do you write science? And again, depending on group and supervisor, and for a variety of reasons, I didn't observe a lot of writing guidance in a structured manner. And that's something I had the privilege to have during undergrad research and during my master's. And I thought to myself, hey, there are a lot of brilliant students here. They would benefit immensely from having that. Why aren't we giving them this knowledge, this structure? So we all know that scientific writing is a big part of doing research and communicating what we do. It's a key skill, but also overwhelming. For PhD, for senior researchers, imagine for the undergrad students that are just starting to do research. And at the same time, traditional teaching models wouldn't probably work as we've been seeing here during the conference. There is limited creativity, there is limited peer exchange, and students don't seem to respond very well anymore to these traditional settings. So why did I come up with the Summer Writing Initiative for Future Thinkings, that is SWIFT? So to try to fill this gap and rethink how and when we start teaching writing to researchers, that is, in undergraduate years. So I try to create a supportive and student-centered environment that will give the learning how to write a process point of view, a process perspective. We try to expose the students to early and iterative writing techniques instead of giving them a recipe. This is how you write a paper. Follow these steps, because there's no such thing. Each research project will be different, will have different outcomes, will have different objectives, and a sentence that I would always tell them is, how do you make your research shine? How do you make your contributions shine? And that will be different for each person and for each project. And to do that, everything is based on a lot of encouragement, especially to give them the confidence that, yes, you're an undergrad student, maybe you're in second, third year, you can do research. You don't need to have a PhD to do research. You can become a scientist as a child. Imagine in your first years as an undergrad. And at the same time, yes, you can do it, but think about how you are going to do it. You start creating critical thinking, because that's another key skill that you need to have to do research. And then start developing the scientific curiosity that is needed to communicate and do well in research. So this is what the program looks like. It's a 9-week program. We have every week different meeting on a different topic, and the thing I like the most is that these meetings do not happen inside a classroom. We go around campus. That's why a summer initiative. We have good weather. We can go around, walk to City Park, go see the lake, and just discuss in a formally informal way, what is research? What is a paper for? How do you do that? How do you start doing that? So every week, you can see here, we go into a specific part of a paper, I would say. And for the first 4 weeks, they have small assignments that take 1 to 3 hours during the whole week to complete. And that they submit to our shared folder, and the other students peer review the work. So, oh, I thought this was nice, this was bad, what do you mean? So that they also start developing the feedback culture of science. How do you review a paper? And then once you know how to do that, when you're writing your own paper, you will start to think like a reviewer, and then think critically about what you're writing. And then the last step, that's the value of the program. You have a paper draft by the end that you develop during these 9 weeks. And we have mentors and other students peer reviewing as you go, and we can discuss the ideas and the methods you are using in your project while you develop, like second supervisor almost. So what is the risk here? Letting go of the classroom, I would say, is the main one. We are not in a traditional setting. We just get together at 9 a.m. Okay, where are we going today? And we just go. And we have these 1-hour meetings. I usually have a little sheet with some topics that would be nice to talk about, but usually the students will guide the discussion with their questions, with their doubts, with their examples from their own projects. And we completely abandon this rigid instruction environment or setting that we would have during the winter or fall semesters inside the classrooms. So it is a discussion-based learning, which I think makes the students feel more engaged and more interested, and also because it's a research-related informal course. It's not an official course from Queen's. I think everyone that is there is already interested in the topic, so that makes them feel more, it makes the whole thing feel more interested to them. So there's no traditional lecture. I have some topics. We go, we discuss, we see where that takes us. This walk and talk way of doing things with co-creation and the peer feedback aspect I mentioned. It's the risk here is also, to me, as one of the instructors, as a mentor, I would say, I'm very vulnerable in my own competence. But then I make sure I tell them that I don't know everything, you don't know everything, we're here to learn, we're doing it together. So rewards, I would say the increased writing confidence and research ownership, ability to structure, argue, and refine ideas since your second year of undergrad studies, for example, and a greater sense of belonging in the academic space, which I think is tricky to a lot of people. And I have here some quotes from the feedback form we have at the end of the course at the program. So you see students were saying that walking and informally discussing these ideas felt engaging and more interesting than meeting in a class or watching an informative video about it. This is genuinely the most helpful and applicable education in writing I have ever received. That stayed with me. And then I wish every summer student who was doing research could have an opportunity to experience this kind of mentorship. We also had tangible outcomes. Not everything was subjective. So we had 6 participants in the pilot version. This was last summer. Hopefully in 2 weeks we start the new one. And from the 6 students, we had 2 extended abstracts published in large international conference and 3 full conference papers. And these were 4 undergrad students and 2 master's students, just so we are aware. And well, this is nice. It's very good to have the publications, but my goal was for them to actually believe they could do it and establish these long-term good practices regarding mentorship for them to see and learn through example that later in life they can do the same. Writing habits and establishing this feedback culture. You're never too young to start giving feedback, and you should start doing it now. And some reflections. So informality can breed openness and deeper engagement. That's what we saw. It was very nice. Feedback culture is more powerful than correction because you're learning from each other. The risky pedagogy fosters resilient, reflective learners because people were building together. How do we make that work? How can I improve the next meeting? How can I enjoy it better? And then writing, as any learning, should be a discovery, not just delivery. So thank you.
Thank you for your discussion. As a mechanical engineering student myself, I wonder how this can transfer into the semester. I've seen a lot of design teams specifically who mostly focus on engineering design, bring in more research projects to their teams, and I wonder how that can proceed with your program or maybe help with your program.
Thank you for your question. So Mac has the Mac 461 course. That is the one semester research-based course that students can do in their fourth year. They really like this initiative, so they started implementing the framework during the course. Students have their own project in the supervisor's lab, but there's also a lecture once a week, I think. This is during the winter semester, where all students get together and discuss some topics. So I don't know which year you are right now, but if you're going to the fourth year, I would recommend that. Or catching up with students who've done it before and maybe adapting that, like bringing that to the clubs, or just talk to me and we can figure something out.
Hi, it's me. I was really intrigued by the reflection that you shared with us that this was an experience that you had in your own educational pathway, and I just want to acknowledge that your own undergraduate wasn't here in Canada. And so I just wonder, do you feel as though your experience was unique in the Brazilian context, or is it a more broad or a different kind of learning experience within the Brazilian university context? I'm curious about those sort of differences between sectors.
So thank you for the question. When I came here, I thought it was a Brazilian thing, that everyone had the same. And then I started having these conversations with previous supervisors and previous students. And then I found out, no, it's not common. It was something from our department, is more specifically from our research group. We had supervisors that were to our benefit, maybe not to theirs, more worried about teaching us how to do science instead of publishing. So a lot of their time was spent on teaching us how to write, how to review, how to understand science, how to critically think. And well, it was like, I feel very privileged today to be able to have lived through that, so I want to pass it forward. But yeah, I think it's a unique thing.
Thank you so much. I also wondered about just how might it look different if it weren't in the summer, especially with undergraduates, since Queens in the summer, there aren't a ton of undergraduate courses. And if you look around on campus, it's a much different feel, in the summer as it is the rest of the year. And then I'm just gonna do a quick plug because there is an undergraduate conference that you may already be aware of that's run through the library called Inquiry at Queens.
I love it.
Yeah,
I've been a judge for 2 years now.
Because I think it's like a nice goal-oriented thing for folks who are in this program to maybe work toward. And this past year, there was some prize money involved, but also just to be able to practice these papers and presentations in a forum of peers in different disciplines and your own, I think is awesome. But that question about the summer.
Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree. I really liked IATQ since I first saw it, and I volunteered to be an adjudicator. It's very nice. I think a lot of the students are doing things that are very incredible, and are people seeing it? Hopefully they are, but I don't think everyone knows about it. So this started as a summer unofficial course exactly because the structure is difficult. I've been pitching with my supervisor, hey, can't the department let me do a scientific methodological, science communication course? I would love to teach that, make that a real thing for students. There's always money issues, as you know. So I guess we try to do what we can do with the community. We can gather. I'm part of Ingenuity Labs. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but there are multiple labs inside that one big institute. So these are the people I can reach out for more easily. But hopefully, I'm getting every opportunity I can to talk about it, discuss, spread the word. Maybe people get inspired, do that in their own department or groups. That would be nice.
Do we have time for one more question? Because I really want to ask a question.
Sure.
So one of the things that I have, I'm going to reflect on my own experience as a science undergrad, but I also have heard is doing research as an undergrad can sometimes feel very isolating because you are in like your own specific lab or research group, and sometimes there's not as much opportunity to interact and learn from others. Did that come out of this experience at all? Did you get any feedback around like how this was actually community building for students doing research in like the unique undergrad case in science?
For this first pilot edition, all the students were from 3 labs that already collaborate with. So we were all very close, like close together. We're hanging out most of the time. This summer will be I'll open it more to the engineering labs community. I think there are 42 professors that are part of the institute, so way more labs. But people in the institute stay almost every day in the same space. They have lunch together. So it's already a kind of community. But what I realized from attending some of the MEC 461 courses, because everyone there, even being in the same department, it was different labs. It was nice, like the interaction time. The students seem to enjoy that a lot, because otherwise they are sometimes the only undergrad in the lab. All the other students are PhD or postdocs, and they don't get that.